What is up, my beautiful people? Today we've got the Philadelphia Eagles. We're going to be training like Lane Johnson. This guy looks huge. He's like twice the size of this UFC fighter, Brian Ortega. Let's get to it.
Today we got Lane Johnson, best right tackle in football, Brian Ortega, the best 145 in UFC, and Sean Brady, the #1 welterweight in the UFC. My name is Gabe Rangel, and my profession is strength and conditioning.
I don't know if Brian Ortega's #1 ranked right now. That might be true, that might not be.
Coach. So today's a dynamic upper body day, so that just means that we are going to be moving weight as fast as possible to express power and strength.
It's a dynamic day, so dynamic is more focused on a lighter weight compared to your overall max, so 50-60% of your max. We're trying to move it for speed.
Our first exercise today is speed bench versus mini bands. We call that mini speed bench. So we use mini bands, which are the bands that are tied at the lateral aspects of the barbell. And what that does is it pulls on the barbell. So when you're at the top of your bench, there's going to be the most tension in the bench. And today our red bands are almost like adding in an additional 60 to 80 pounds with the tension at the top. And all we're trying to do is move against that tension as fast as possible to create speed.
It's really like with this, like you have to find like a rhythm, like because the bands are so tight, like you have to find like the perfect spot. Because if you're like not right where you're supposed to be, your numbers are going to be.
That's what I was saying. You check the ego at the door. I don't care what the weight on the bar says.
That's a good tip right there. Leave your ego at the door, right? Always train with form over weight. I would say try and get a nice slow eccentric. The thing I don't like about these, now I'm more of a hypertrophy focused builder. Maybe there's something I'm missing here, but I'd much rather the load be at that more stretched portion so that you're able to adapt to a full range of motion, and you're gonna get more power production that way because it's gonna take the most amount of force for you to lift that weight at the bottom portion. When you're at the top and there's added weight, it's not going to feel as heavy as when it's at the bottom. They might be doing this for a very specific training purpose, though. He's saying they're doing more of like a power dynamic setup. I'm totally okay with that. Like I said, I would prefer a full stretch range of motion setup, though.
Care that he's still within that speed range that we're going after.
68 reps, or is that measuring velocity? Okay, measuring velocity.
Ripping back. How's that feel?
Crazy.
Let's go 45, 10, and 5.
Good. Last one, best one.
Come on. Move this thing. Settle, keep it still. Back it out. Rock it.
Yep.
Go. There you go. A lot of sports work at one arm at a time, one leg at a time. You're never all four just on the ground doing whatever. So we always ensure that we have unilateral exercises, meaning one side at a time. So we did unilateral incline.
Okay, I'll talk on that first. The unilateral side. Also, that looks like a power block, so they have some expensive training equipment, but what else do you expect when you're the Eagles? Best of the best gets the best. But unilateral movements there, definitely nice for sports or any sort of athlete, really, even bodybuilders. Just making sure that you're symmetrical, that all sides are moving the same. You want to make sure that you're about equal strength. Everybody's going to have some genetic differences that are kind of hard to beat, but try to get as even as you can. That bench, though, what it looked like they were doing is actually trying to progressive overload the speed. So rather than going for how much weight is on the bar, they're looking to produce the fastest velocity possible. And that's actually pretty smart when you're doing that. You're going for the most power, right? Now you have strength times speed, so they're moving a certain amount of weight at a certain speed, which is a different type of progressive overload. And when you're training in those maximal force productions, you're going to be actually training more fast twitch muscles, being better at producing speed very quickly. So that's actually really good for their training.
Bench. So now we just increase the range on the bench. Now we have a different angle that we're using, still trying to keep a speed. We're adding a little bit more resistance there. And we did 3 sets of 12 on our incline dumbbell bench.
Small critique on the bench there. I would just slap another dumbbell in the other hand, not pressing. So it's just anchoring themselves in so they can stabilize with one hand. And it feels like an actual bench press that rather than that other hand kind of slipping and moving. And you're going to, excuse me, and you're going to be able to move a lot more weight with that variant. Having that other dumbbell in your hand, you're going to be able to feel more stable, produce a lot more force.
T-bar row lane. Now that we did more pressing, we did bilateral T-bar row. They always say you can't shoot a cannon out of a canoe. Anytime you want a strong punch or something strong in the horizontal plane, you need to have a strong base to it, right? So our back is some of our best foundational work. We get a good extension at the bottom there. It really takes the scaps and opens them up for shoulder mobility. So you need a good row. Everybody does push-ups and punches all the time. You should be equaling whatever you're punching to whatever you're rowing. So ensuring that you have some type of horizontal row in your exercise or a vertical pull is super important to any program.
I would say both, actually. They are training more for, in this instance, I guess, maybe a combat sport because they have Brian Ortega with them too. But I would say rowing and a lat pull down are both beneficial. If you want really good shoulder mobility and lats physique development, then I would say even a pullover type of movement too. Few critiques. The seal row, I actually personally don't like. You're going to get the most amount of tension at that peak contraction. You're not going to get much tension at the bottom range of motion. As I said on the bench press, that eccentric is a little bit more important for building muscle. It also takes more force to actually move the weight. There's more perceived tension when you're at that stretch. So it's going to take a little bit of that athleticism there. I'd much prefer either the hammer strength row machine, that's probably my favorite, or you could do some sort of cable row setup or flexion row setup as well, even like a pendulé row. I'm a fan of all of those, adding a lat pull down or a pull up as well.
Another one set up for you, B. Let me see. Stand up. Our next up, we have cable lifts, chops, and turns.
Good for punching power.
With my fighters in the middle, I have them go into hooks, making it unilateral like we were talking about. But above and below, we keep it 2 so we could keep it a chop and a lift.
No, come up more in line. And then keep the legs still. Yeah.
We kind of make them dynamic in this where it's a core exercise. Anytime you're going away from your body, your fulcrum is your core. We're gonna go low to high. We're just gonna try to fire that core. So keep the arms straight. We're gonna go low to high. And you're ripping as hard as you can. 15 right, 15 left. And
That other guy, Sean Brady, his arms were definitely not straight. He was definitely cheat repping it. I don't know if the coach corrected that for him
visualize
there.
that is from low to high when we do chops or lifts. It's just engaging your core. And we just add a little bit more body movement so that they're grounding out of their feet and then they're expressing it through their upper body. So we have energy moving throughout.
Tension with the bands or resistance, you feel the tension all the way through the reps. Sometimes when you get a dumbbell, you can use a lot of momentum, so you don't have the constant tension as you would through the band. So,
And again, like in his sport, rotary is so important because that's how you create power to actually throw a punch. And in his sport, especially when guys are coming inside or outside, he has to throw them off. So just kind of like when people talk about sport specific, we don't get too crazy, but things like that make it really easy to express strength. It's not just about being strong. It's like, can you actually show me that you're strong on the field or in a match or in a ring? Start it and then fight it. Our next exercise is a dynamic.
I'm not actually personally a fan of too many of those, I guess, show me that you're strong kind of exercises, as he's describing there, or like functional strength. I think that if you work something like a bench press and a row and you're getting a full stretch on that row, you're letting your lat stretch all the way down instead of doing like that seal row. If you get a full stretch down on a single arm lat row with your dumbbell there, and then crunch in, really nice form. I think you're actually gonna get the same type of benefits there, but also with the added strength of the weight on the dumbbell and that full stretch on the lats, being able to contract down. Nothing wrong with what they're doing. I just prefer exercising that functional strength in a different way. I think that they both transfer equally effectively as long as you're doing your technique work for fighting as well.
Dynamic pull-off press on the reverse hyper machine. So this exercise is going to add a dynamic effort to that frontal plane and actually add frontal plane stability. So you're going to have to fight it like a pull-off press. We're just pressing out to the middle of our chest, and your core is trying to stabilize so you stay in the middle. And the dynamic effort of the weight is going to come off into the reverse hyper and challenge our athletes to make sure that they can try to stay stable in the frontal plane. So any pull-off press, and again, ours is being dynamic, but any pull-off press is one of the best core exercises you could do because we want stability. Like, our core is supposed to be stable in that plane, especially in a lot of these guys' sports. And so this exercise is one of the best core exercises you could do for football and for combat sports.
Yeah, there's some guys that are strong in the weight room, but they get out in the field and sometimes their feet don't match with their hands. So they're not able to generate power, move people efficiently. Then there's some guys that aren't weight room warriors per se, but functionally they can hip toss people or translate power. So
our job in here is not to make greatest bodybuilders. It's just, hey, can I get you a little bit better at your sport? Because this should just be a supplement to your workout as a fighter or as an NFL athlete.
Okay, small thing there. Well, to me, not small, actually. He's saying this is a supplemental part of your training. I actually agree, right? When you're in the weight room as a functional athlete, someone who's doing like mostly football or MMA, UFC, your weightlifting is secondary and whatever you're training for is your primary. So you want to get most of your technique work there. I actually don't agree with the core exercises though. I've never been a big practitioner of working out for your core. I personally don't do any ab work and my abs are pretty defined. And I also do jujitsu, so I definitely get ab work or test it in my functional strength there. I've never really needed to work on it though. I've always been a practitioner of if you're doing your compound lifts and things like that while keeping your core braced, then you're going to work on a lot of that same anti-rotational strengths and things like that. And then you can just do your functional training, quote unquote, trying to get your punching power up and things like that, your rotational force. Just get that actually doing the sport. So like instead of doing it in the weight room with cables, they could be actually practicing like punching power or kicking power, whatever the rotation they're doing is in that moment.
Yeah, so our next one was a Bulgarian bag flip is what we call them. We're just turning it around and it's like a circumventing around over your head, but we use it at kind of the end of our workout for both muscular endurance of your forearm, but also of your shoulders. The guy who invented them, his name is Ivan Ivanov. Can't make this stuff up. He was a Russian wrestling coach, and he believed that this is the only thing that like the Russian wrestling team uses. They don't use weights, they use these things. But we get to create rotary strength that we were just doing on the bands and whatnot when we're coming across and breaking. We get to create that same stability overhead and in that transverse plane. And you do these things and your forearms are absolutely smoked after it.
you feel a lot in there.
Same thing with mobility there. I actually get my mobility work through my weightlifting. I don't have lots of time to be spending in the gym. So if I can do an hour workout with long eccentric lifts, and that can give me my mobility, my injury resilience, and my core work, as well as give me a good physique, I'm all for it. You can train like these people, or you can train with the slower eccentric. Both will get you the same result. I have a feeling theirs will take a little bit longer though to accomplish.
So we did an upper body day. I don't want to smoke out our upper body, so I switch it to a lower body endurance exercise. We end that as a conditioning piece, and it adds a ton of stability to our hips and our glutes, but it also challenges our muscular endurance of our lower body.
Sure, it's not your legs, it's like your like your hips and your glutes. Jump on there. Do a minute.
We want to create conditioning without hurting our joints so much. And it's muscular endurance. Like your glutes are going to be on fire, your hips are going to be on fire.
This really helps getting your hips back in a good position. Undo being in the right-handed stance all the time. Undo sitting in chairs for hours in meetings. So it takes a lot of time to get that stuff back to neutral.
I actually don't mind that right there. I'm actually a fan of weighted walking if you want to do it with a weight vest or with a belt squat. Like he said, doing it this way, you're going to get tons of activation in the hips and the glutes, which I'm actually a fan of. A lot of people are pretty weak in their glutes or their posterior chain. They kind of walk around with that hunch and the sag in the hips. A lot of that's due to people being more sedentary nowadays too. So something like this, not bad. If your only focus is preserving your joints and your muscle mass, I would say the bike and the elliptical are better options. Maybe the incline treadmill too at like 15. But I actually really don't mind this. And you saw Brian Ortega kind of in his fighting stance while he's doing this too, giving you a little bit more of a specific training towards your fighting when you're doing your cardio there.
Yeah, and your glutes and everything. Take a seat, you guys. Would.
Legs are terrible, bro. Hey, he took it very well. First time I did this, straight to the ground. Well, yeah, like I wasn't as strong as I was in my 20s. Like I'm a lot stronger, like better than I was.
Alright, it looks like that's about the end of the video, guys. If you guys want to see more or the full video, it's on the Philadelphia Eagles YouTube channel. Just Philadelphia Eagles. Lane Johnson Super Bowl champion workout. That'll be it for me, though. I'll have another video for you tomorrow.